to every alpha letter in your clear text to encrypt it. Well, you got to go through the entire message. And isn't it better for that kind of grunt work to have a computer do that?
I agree.
mean, that's mindless. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of that in cryptography in both directions. And so I'm not...
Unless you have a little orphan Annie decryptor ring.
That
helps.
Yeah, I had a Johnny Quest decryptor. Was it Johnny Quest or G.I. Joe? Or I don't remember what it was. But I had a pretty cool decoder ring when I was a kid. Yeah, it was handy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember to drink your Ovaltine.
Oh, yeah. I don't know where I got that Cracker Jack box or what. But yeah, that's cool stuff. I'm sure it's illegal now because if any kid had that today, he would immediately shove it down his throat and choke on it and die.
Yeah.
We were different. We were a different breed of kids in my day. We didn't choke on stuff because we would
eat everything.
Yeah.
It's hard when there are dinosaurs threatening your life. You tend to not shove things in your mouth.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So
where were we at?
Okay. Where?
CIA and NSA had kept their discoveries secret. Maybe they didn't want to let people know how smart they are and how brilliant they are at decrypting, or it could actually be that, and it does seem to be documented. They actually in 2014 the NSA did declassify some documents because apparently their employees, there were 3 of them, wrote up reports on how they did the whole thing, but they were classified up until 2014, but now they're available online, so you can read it. So apparently it is documented that their employees did indeed break those first 3 ciphers in 1995.
But why were they classified?
Yeah, why did they keep it quiet?
Because they work for a certain organization where almost everything is classified.
There is a tendency to overclassify things, and it might have been just sheer sportsmanship. They might have just felt like, hey, we're going to rain on a lot of people's parades if we say, hey, we cracked it, here it is,
Yeah, that hasn't stopped them before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Especially as weird as this one is.
Yeah,
there's more cracking to be done.
It is a weird one. I mean, you'd think they could have said something like, hey, we cracked it, but we're still not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to figure that out yourselves, bitches. But... All right, so we're gonna talk about our first little mystery here, but first, let's take a break.
Because I think I see a man in dark sunglasses and a suit at the door.
Uh-oh. The town of Beaumont had a problem. The city council had barred dancing and rock and roll. You couldn't do it. It just wasn't allowed. Supposedly, the rule was put in place after the Reverend's son died in a car accident on the way home from a dance. But that wasn't the real reason. The real reason was that the Reverend was wearing conventional socks that didn't fit right and gave him blisters, and dancing only made it worse, and he didn't want to be the only one not dancing. Being the pillar of the community, he decided that it had to be that way for everyone, so the ban was put in place. Luckily, a spirited teenager named Ren McCormick came to town and showed everyone the error of their ways. Socks, a vital article of clothing that often gets overlooked. Thankfully, 4 years ago, 2 guys set out to rethink it. Neither of them was Ren. And after spending 2 years fixing all the things they didn't like about conventional socks, Bombas was born. Bombas offers premium socks equipped with 7 substantial improvements to the ordinary sock, which you can find online. In fact, Bombas socks are such game changers that customers overwhelmingly claim that they are the most comfortable socks they've ever worn. But best of all, every pair of socks Bombas sells, they donate a pair to those in need. They've already donated over 2 million pairs so far. Go to bombas.com/sideways to get 20% off your first order. You'll love Bombas socks or your money back, guaranteed. That's bombas.com/sideways. Now that I think about it, maybe Randy Goldberg and David Heath are like Ren McCormick. They did buck the sock system.
And we're back.
Turns out that guy was just selling books.
Yeah.
Door to door.
My neighbor wanted to buy a screwdriver. Yeah, that's dangerous. I got a good serial killer story for you guys about that one. But
for another time, maybe.
Another time, yeah.
So mystery number 1.
Yeah, let's talk about our first mystery, what is exactly the true purpose of cryptos? Was it just art, or was it something else? I've sort of wondered if maybe it's not kind of a recruiting device to try to, find really talented cryptographers to hire.
Yes. No, I mean, there's not a question in my mind that this is similar to, the idea behind Cicada 3301, where it's obviously a lot of these puzzles get put out there simply because they're recruiting tools, you know, and
Bletchley
obviously
Park did it back in the 40s, or late 30s.
Yeah.
I mean, Google does the same thing. They hire people who hack into their system. They say, if you can get into our system, we will hire you.
I know. When I heard about that, I got in my car and drove through the front wall. And they said, no, that doesn't count.
No, that's not the same.
Yeah,
You were like, well, it's all right. I had an accident in this car already, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Fine.
But I mean, for me, there's no question. But I know I'm more prone to believe stuff like that than you guys are. So.
Yeah, well, you know, and the thing about it is, it's actually kind of a nice-looking piece of sculpture too. So it could be a dual-purpose kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, for
both
sure.
purposes pretty nicely.
I mean, not that any old schmo can just wander up to it, but
Well, that is the thing. Yeah, it is on CIA grounds, so it's not everybody
there's
gets to go look
pictures and
at it. But
stuff.
there's lots of pictures and information about it. There's just tons of information out there, and we'll have some good links for you all, by the way. There's one person, Ilanka Dunnan, who's like, you know, considered one of the foremost experts on the whole thing, and she has a page which we'll give you a link to that has in itself, I don't know what, 100, 200 links. It's
oh my God, I
the
don't know.
articles and all kinds of stuff. And so yeah, pretty much almost everything you need to know about cryptos you'll find on her page. Well, anyway, let's go back to our story for just a little bit. As you know, nobody has yet deciphered K4. So if the last time it was deciphered was 1999, and what is 2017? That's almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And people are still hammering their brains out over that one. Yeah, and as I said earlier, because it's so short, that's one of the things that's made it kind of... It's actually shorter than 97 letters, because in 2013, Jim Sandwood revealed that actually that last 97 characters is 2 messages, not just one. And they're encrypted with different systems. So.
Making it even harder.
Yeah, he does make it harder. And he also said that you need to solve K4 in order to solve K5. So, and in 2010, again, it had been 11 years since the last time there had been any progress in this, so he decided it was time to drop a hint.
Officially, sorry.
Yeah, officially, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point. So he said the 6 characters in K4 translate to the word Berlin. That's in the city in Germany. The characters are the 64th through 69th. The letters are NYPVTT. Write that down. And again, now remember, of course, at this time in 2010, nobody but Sandborn knew that there was actually 2 messages in there. So my question, of course, when I first heard that is, well, is Berlin in K4 or is Berlin in K5?
I guess there is. I just have a hard time. I'm so green with ciphers. I don't understand ciphers like at all. So for me, it's so hard to imagine a cipher where Berlin would translate to something that has 2 T's at the end of it. Mm-hmm. You know?
I paused at
That's
the same
really hard
thing.
for me. But also, you know, knowing that there's this other kind of cipher where actually all of the letters are correct. You know, like it's
not a one-to-one
it's crazy,
relationship.
but
Yeah. I mean, obviously, obviously, it's not a substitution cipher.
no.
Right? Yeah, it's not a substitution cipher. Can't be.
Right. Obviously, it can't.
Obviously, it can't be simple. It can't be a Caesar shift.
Yeah.
Obviously, the columnar transposition technique is not being used here because all 6 letters are side by side. They're not scattered all throughout the text.
Right.
So it could be that we're back to the old Vigenère cipher. Maybe. I don't know. But presumably, a lot of people have already tried to decrypt it using the Vigenère cipher.
Yeah,
so
if you
far.
know that it's used once, you might as well give it a shot
Yeah.
and see if it was used more than once.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, but if they've gone back to the Vigenère cipher, it appears that they probably took out the keyword cryptos. They're probably using there's probably 2 different keys this time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was so, and that's about all we know about it so far. There were only 23 characters after
After the word Berlin.
Yeah, after the word Berlin. Well, and that's not actually true. There's 28. But in 2014, Jim Sandborn said that because still nobody had broken the cipher, he said, okay, the word after Berlin is clock. So Berlin clock, and that word would be spelled MZFPK.
That's how I spell clock.
Exactly. So after clock, there are only 23 characters after that. I'm assuming that Berlin clock is in K4 and not K5.
That would make sense if you have to have K4 to fix
if
or
he's
to
trying
solve
to,
it.
Yeah, otherwise Sandborn is a real jerk.
Yeah,
right?
he's jerking
he's a
around.
total jerk, yeah. So,
I guess I just keep thinking, 97 characters, that's a small enough set that you could have if you have two different encryption, and you're really smart about it, right?
Uh-huh.
It could literally be the same letters with two different encryption codes with two separate messages that are all 97 letters. I think that's possible.
So you're saying
That's not easy, but
it's not easy. It would be really tricky, but I'm saying that it could just be two different cipher sets, right? And that would also, for me, I'm sorry, this may be like jumping ahead a little bit, but for me, when I look at all of the errors that are included in all of the other ones, that's kind of what it looks like to me, is that the shift would be different, and so a different message with different sets of errors would appear in like K1, for instance, right? That like if there were a separate message included in there, those X's would go away and suddenly they become A's, and it's a totally different set of, whatever. And so I guess for me, I don't think it's likely that is the case, but it's a possibility that I keep coming back to.
That
So
would be
you're saying-
genius level encryption to me.
Yeah,
so
I
you're-
agree.
So you're saying essentially that
But there are a lot of errors in this, so he could have done it wrong. He could have thought he did it perfectly great,
True.
yeah, but
and it turned
obviously-
out no.
But that-
and they're
that is-
both decipherable now.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but I saw if when I'm reading it correctly, you're saying essentially the same message can mean two entirely different things.
I'm saying that the same set of letters given two different encryption codes could be two separate
Could
messages.
be two different things, yeah, and that's entirely, and that would explain a lot of things, like you say, the stray weird characters and the spellings and stuff, where they had to sort of shoehorn these things together,
Right.
and so that's entirely possible. A lot of people have pondered that exact question,
Well,
but that's just a little too fiendish. On the other hand,
I'll stay at that for now.
Yeah. Okay, so
So we've
Berlin
got
clock.
Berlin clock.
oh yeah, we're at Berlin clock. Okay, and again, we got two messages. Presumably, there's at least 23 characters in K5. And by the way, Berlin clock, do Google on that. And if you haven't heard of it, it's a
Pretty
famous
cool.
clock. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's one of those clocks that you have to sit down and figure out how to use it and how to tell time by it. And then you never use it again because it's a pain in the butt. You got to kind of do some math in order to tell what the time is.
Right, because it uses
Can you give me like a high level?
colored shapes. So I think there's a red circle, then there's a bar below that is divided into three pieces, and each piece lights up in yellow. It's basically this weird semi-binary clock.
Yeah.
You would have to be really, really versed in that kind of stuff and use it all the time in order to understand the combination of lights. This means 6:30, but this means 6:42.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. So it's like I think there's like three red ones up near the top, three red rectangles, and those denote 15 minutes each. Yeah, and then so if like three of them are lit up, let's say.
It's four, right? It sets at
There's
four.
four at the top, and so those are four increments of like 15 minutes each. And so if those little guys, three of them are lit up, then it's okay, 45 minutes after the hour, and then you go down further to find out what the hour is and stuff. And you got to do
it's super complex.
Yeah, it's a little it's not conceptually difficult, but it's kind of a nuisance if you just want to know what the time is real fast.
But people dig that stuff. I mean, you see watches like that all the time. There's, the binary watches. I've already said binary, but there's a couple of different ones. I don't know if you never saw this, Devin, but Joe, I don't know. You remember that watch that I had that had the hollow center and the light? That thing was cool, but a giant pain in the butt to use. Again, it's just kind of a cool factor kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, I want to invent a timepiece that just whenever you want to know the time, you press a button and it just drops out gold bars and a certain number of gold bars for the hour. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. I think you're gonna have to go into alchemy for that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
No. So one gold bar for each hour, and then a bunch of Kruger for the minutes. That work? Okay.
That works.
I like that. Yeah. So the big question is will K4 and K5 be decoded? Well, probably sooner or later they will. But does it solve everything? And not quite, because Sandward said this in 1991, and I'm quoting him here. Once the plate is deciphered, I'm not convinced the true meaning will be clear even then. There's another deeper mystery. Yeah, what a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's stop here because I know we're about to go into mystery number 2. My concern with this whole thing is we talked about it before, the mistakes and him saying they were intentional. Mm-hmm. I work in an area where you take artistic license to things, and I worked with some people who will seriously manipulate things to make them look right. And the problem is that then very dramatically changes them and changes their meaning, whether it be in text or imagery or illustrations or whatever, or in this case, a series of letters.
Well, that's
that's why I really worry that this thing is completely screwed up, because he's quote unquote massaged the letters around and blown the whole thing apart.
Honestly, I feel like that quote from him of like, once it's deciphered, I'm not sure, is totally him just covering his butt, because he like realized 10 years later, he was like, oh crap, I totally messed that up.
And
it's not going to mean anything. On the other hand, maybe not.
I tend to think he probably did some proofreading before he put the whole thing up in the end.
But he didn't, because it was 10 years later that he was rereading the plain text.
And he found that one error.
What was the one error?
That dramatically changed it.
Well, it didn't dramatically change it. It changed 2 words at the end.
Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay,
originally, at the end of the second message, it looked like it said by the code and everything, it deciphered, and this is just entirely coincidental, serendipitous, I guess. Mm-hmm. It decrypted to the last three words: ID by Rose. Yeah, so ID by Rose. But it turns out that what he had intended to do is he had intended to put another X in there as a delimiter to the previous sentence, and then had the 2 words layer 2 appear after that. And so when he left that out,
he removed the X to make it look proportionate.
Yeah, exactly. So when he left that out, and it went from saying layer 2 to just saying ID by Rose. And that's just a pure coincidence that it actually translated to something coherent.
See,
it's just as likely that it could have translated to something just gibberish.
That's why
that's why you're wondering if maybe
this.
The same message with 2 different keys could translate to 2 different
because
things.
It totally could.
And that would totally explain.
There's no spaces. There's no nothing, right? So
that would explain some of the things like the X's and the misspellings. I know.
Exactly.
Or
and
imagine this. Imagine that you're reading left to right, line after line. What if it's you're reading column?
Well, the other thing even is like maybe you're reading right to left, because you can go all the way around these things, right? I mean, they are intentionally punched all the way through.
Yeah, you could step around to the other side of it and
then
read
it's a totally different message.
You could read it backwards. Yeah, I know.
You read left to right from the other side, and suddenly it's a totally, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of stuff here that.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I wondered about the top to bottom thing, the columnar thing, is that some of the words, the misspellings and stuff, like the last word in the first message was illusion, but it's spelled with a Q instead of an L, so it's IQLU, so occlusion. And I seriously wondered, because he said he's left letters out too, deliberately, and I wondered if actually the word he's actually misspelled wasn't illusion after all.
Occlusion?
Occlusion.
Or
occlusion is the word I'm thinking, occlusion, because it makes sense. I mean, he's talking about shadow and darkness and all that stuff. So he says, between subtle shading and the absence of light lies the nuance of illusion. But occlusion fits that a lot better when you think about it.
Kind of.
Occlusion is like the absence of light. Essentially, when you occlude something, you block the light, you shade it and stuff.
Or
and so to me,
blood vessels.
Yeah, or that kind of thing too. But occlusion. So I wondered if occlusion. So in other words, he put a Q in there because he needed to. Otherwise, he would have had to put 2 C's in there. An O and a C and a C, and so he needed to toss out one of those C's, and so he put the Q in there instead to do the same job. So IQ instead of OCC, which would explain, and again, this is all tendentious. It's like I am not actually going to spend a huge amount of time trying to crack this one because I've just got too much to do. I don't have 400
There's a lot of people
hours.
with bigger brains who have not managed to do it. Then probably. It's not worth the time for you or I to do.
It's one of those dealios where I just thought, okay, I'll give it like half an hour, just because it'd be so cool if all these people had been beating their brains out over it, and if I was able to sit down and just crack it. I
just entered it into text editor and figured it out.
Yeah. Has anybody ever thought to put this into Microsoft Word and then switch over to Wingding?
I mean, really though. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. Actually, I'm not going to try that.
Or just do detect language on Google Translate. trying to decipher. Google's like your sober friend.
Uh-huh.
You know, like you can type some like really messed up words in there, and it's like, oh, did you mean this? Because it understands somehow.
I get a feeling if you type this, Google probably knows this very well, and probably if you type it in there, Google's going to say like, "Nice try, dude."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We solved this 20 years ago.
Nice try, dude. Back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but back to our thing. So there apparently, according to him, there are riddles to be solved, and that will lead you, as I said, he made reference to something being hidden somewhere, probably in the grounds of the CIA in Langley.
On level 2.
He actually gave, on level 2, whatever that means. Layer 2, actually. Layer 2.
Mm-hmm. That's another one, right? Where it's like, he's obviously telling us, like, there's another layer to this code.
Yeah,
and maybe it is. And maybe he's just playing this mind game, right? Where every time somebody says, hey, is it this? He's like, no. Like ID Rose.
ID by Rose,
like that could be, I'm sure that people have experienced this or explored this already, right? But ID by Rose could be another part of the cipher that exposes the second layer.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be, right?
Yeah.
Rose could be the other part.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and by the way, there is a discussion forum for these cryptos nerds out there. If you really want to get intensely involved in this, I'll definitely put the link out there too. You have to, I think, send them an email and ask for membership. You have to be admitted to the group.
You have to prove that you're not like a
bot, or a Russian. Actually, you probably get extra points for being a Russian, but. So they've been discussing it. They still are, as far as I know.
So is that mystery? Mystery one? Okay.
Yeah, and then of course there's other elements to the sculpture also. There's some pieces of marble that are sort of set around it, and you don't know if those have significance or they're flat places for people to sit down and eat their lunch. You don't really know.
Did I read somewhere somebody thought that maybe they were Braille or something? Does this sound familiar?
There's a Morse code.
That's okay.
There's some actually in the whole thing. There's not just a sculpture, but there's other various rocks and things around, and there's this message in Morse code.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Conceivably be Braille, maybe.
It was the Morse code, not Braille.
Yeah.
I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, but it's more. Well, if it's Morse code though, it doesn't really translate that well because there's a lot of dots in there, which translates to just E's. So maybe it's something else. I don't know.
No, the message is wee.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But where did that come from? Was that part of the same?
It's part of the same sculpture. Yeah.
Jeez.
But it does make you wonder if maybe people are too fixated on the central piece. Mm-hmm. And that's why he keeps saying, look at the other stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's aerial images available out there, and people have, tried to, make any sense out of it from there. And, of course, somebody has actually marked the spot that's marked by those coordinates that are in K2. Mm-hmm. So you can find an aerial where that's marked.
And is it on Langley property? Or
it is. It's actually quite
close.
It's on
CIE property?
Yeah, they have a Berlin Wall memorial there where they actually brought over several chunks of the Berlin Wall after it got torn down, and they created a monument to that, and it's very close to that.
Well, maybe there's some significance with Berlin.
Berlin clock and all that stuff, and of course, when this was commissioned and he was doing his work, it was commissioned I think before the fall of the wall, but then I believe it was completed after the fall of the wall. So I could totally picture him going back with this momentous thing happening and inserting some reference to obviously the Berlin clock, but maybe something about the wall, the fall of communism and the Soviet Union and all that stuff. I mean, maybe. But we don't know.
Yeah.
And so there's riddles. He said he's hinted that the solutions to the riddles lead you essentially to another riddle, and that's the riddle. Apparently, to solve these last riddles, you have to actually have access to the CIA. You actually have to solve them on the ground in the CIA. So good luck with that. Yeah. And so there's where it's at. And so any of our listeners out there, if if you go out there and you solve this, then just tell them we sent you. We'd appreciate that, and I'll owe you a Coke. Yeah. So let's get into our mysteries here. These are more mysteries than theories.
We've been on Mystery 1 for a good little bit here.
Yeah. Mystery 2. Are the CIA and the NSA telling the truth? Which is to say, they say they haven't cracked K4 and K5 yet.
That seems suspicious.
It kind of does. These guys just, it kind of makes me mad because we're paying them a lot of money to be able to do this kind of crap. And they can't. And I kind of.
Also, they literally do have I mean, I don't know.
They may have other things that they consider higher priority than solving the art installation.
That sounds wrong.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it really could be. But I don't know. You would think that with all those supercomputers and everything, and I know they've said, at least for public consumption, they have said that they're not devoting any public resource to this at all.
Yeah, people would freak out if they heard that.
I would.
Well, I would. I don't know. I mean, I think if NSA employees have a spare minute or two between decrypting ISIS communications and everything, if they've got a few minutes of downtime and they want to play with this on their supercomputers, I wouldn't.
Yeah, fine.
I don't see a problem. I don't have a problem with that, really. I mean, whatever. It's like it actually. For them, it would be kind of cool to have a nice little break from your day-to-day routine to be able to do something a little different, keep the mind sharp. But yeah, I think they're probably lying. I kind of think that probably at least NSA has broken it.
Well, they're supposed to. I mean, the answer was given to the CIA.
Yeah.
So you imagine that what's the head guy, William
Webster.
Webster, thank you. He probably put it in the safe, and it's probably something that is transferred from director to director, so they know the friggin' answer.
Yeah.
They have to have the answer, so it's not as if they...
Well, somebody, yeah, I mean... somebody at the CIA. I mean, maybe those guys are such honorable fellows that they've actually left it sealed in the envelope in the safe for all these years, and they haven't actually pulled it out and looked at it. But
if I've watched X-Files enough, the answer to that is no.
It would be kind of tough to not pull that envelope out and have a look at it.
It'd be almost impossible.
Yeah,
for me at least.
It really kind of would be. Yeah.
So how many more mysteries do we have here?
We got a few more. Mystery number 3. What are the encryption algorithms for K4, K5? And we've already kind of talked about that, so I don't. Again, I could.
Alphabet soup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's alphabet soup. But I've already told you what it can't be. It's not rearrangement. It's not just a simple substitution cipher or Caesar shift or anything like that. But there's a lot of other ciphers out there. So anyway,
why does it on here say Pig Latin?
Oh yeah, I tried Pig Latin. That doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah. So no Pig Latin. Our next message is, well, what do the messages say? Well, hell if I know. I mean, I've seen the stuff that's been decrypted, and I don't even know what that means.
Still don't totally understand that. Yeah.
Not really. No, I don't get it at all. But again, this is going to be kind of one of those Da Vinci Code kind of things, where to the ordinary person, it's gibberish, but then, Tom Hanks comes along and says, well, you see...
Why have we not sent Tom Hanks to Langley?
Oh, yeah.
He would figure this out in, 2 days.
Oh, no, you figure it out in, 30 seconds.
He'd just glance at it and be like, I know.
But I always loved that in the Da Vinci Code. That's the only one of the series that I've read, and I haven't seen the movie, but... I just love it. He goes into the Louvre, and there's a dead body, but before he died, he arranged himself so he's pointing towards this painting, but his left leg is pointing towards that painting. So obviously, Tom Hanks is the guy to figure this one out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Ellen, by the way, Dan Brown is apparently a fan of cryptos.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he is, and he actually mentions it apparently in the Da Vinci Code, and he wrote some other book that also mentions it quite heavily too. So
Angels and Demons, probably.
No, it wasn't that one. I can't remember the name of it, but just go out to danbrown.com or something like that, or I don't know.
Google it.
Yeah, you'll find something about that. So our next, and here's the thing. I mean, obviously there's something hidden.
Theoretically.
I don't know if they're okay.
Yeah. So if there is something hidden, well, what is it? And I can see some different possibilities. One of which is treasure.
Nah.
I don't think so.
A little reward, or something kind of humorous, like maybe a secret decoder ring. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it?
It would.
Hitler's body.
Yeah. Maybe another encrypted message. It's like, so you get all the way down there, and there's yet another message that you got to figure out. I mean, It could be. I mean, why not?
There is talk about because of the coordinates and the memorial for the Berlin Wall, or the monument. There is talk that initially it was supposed to go in a place that lined up with those coordinates. This is supposition, of course, but that after he made Cryptos, they changed their mind and moved it to a different location and screwed the whole thing up.
It's entirely possible.
Some peon said, oh no, it's got to go over here because the contractor will charge us more over there. I don't know why they didn't put it there.
But I don't know why you would have a cipher that directed you to the exact coordinates that you were already standing at.
No, it's the according to what I read, the coordinates were not exactly where Kryptos was, but it's near it, and at that near location, that's where the Berlin Wall remnants were supposed to be put.
Oh.
Because then that would give you the idea of, oh wait, the word Berlin Wall. Oh look, I found the word Berlin in the text. That must mean something. Like, I don't know if that's real or not, but I've seen that out there.
Yeah, no, there's other suppositions or theories or that he actually screwed up and he actually was using the wrong map and was off by a little bit, in his coordinates. So there's always that possibility.
Could have been.
I would say though, if the coordinates are the Berlin Wall monument, what I would be doing is I'd be looking for a little piece of faux wall. In other words, go out there to the Berlin monument and it's like find the one piece of it that looks a little newer and maybe the graffiti's in English. Instead of German, and say, okay, that's what it is. Pull it out of there, take a sledge to it, see what's inside there.
Yeah,
but
they will so let you do that.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well, also, the other thing is that like maybe the treasure is employment at the CIA.
It could be. It's an employment application. Yeah, that would be funny.
And it really could be, to me that. K4 and 5 have been solved, and it literally just says like, "Hey, contact this person if you can read this."
And the code is Berlin clock.
Yeah, that could be it. And they get a job, and they're sworn to secrecy.
Right.
And maybe that's what it is. That's a good one. I like that one. My favorite, this is my personal favorite, is that it's a tampon. They've got a box with a tampon in it, and that's just my sense of humor. But
I doubt it.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I would just love that. There's a big ceremony. They've unearthed a hermetically sealed box, and the TV news crews are there. They open it up.
Single tampon. Yeah. Why not?
In a velvet lined box.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is that it actually kind of makes sense. I mean, from in a metaphorical kind of way, because cryptography is about keeping meaning hidden. And if you look at tampons, when you buy a tampon in the store, it's hidden. It's in the box. And when you take it out of the box, well, it's hidden somewhere else. And so
you have done a lot of philosophizing in this episode today.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Oh no, just my usual. I'm the philosopher king. But anyway, that's why I kind of like the tampon idea. But we'll see.
So aside from the philosopher's stone,
or it could just be an uplifting message, like peace on earth or something like that. I hope it's not, but it's always possible that there's something like that.
Yeah, it would be pretty anticlimactic though.
Yeah, it really would be. That'd be kind of a jerk thing to do. So I'm kind of thinking not. But yeah, I like your theory, Devin, about an employment application. I think that's a good one.
I agree.
Yeah. Contact us.
We have one more mystery.
Well, yeah, mystery number 6. Is the mysterious hidden object even still there? Because we talked about like the Berlin Wall monument and everything being moved to a different place. And what if they did a little re-landscape?
Yeah.
Nobody will notice. I'll just throw some grass seed on top of it.
I mean, really? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're putting in a new sprinkler system. I mean, obviously this is classified where this thing is hidden. So if the guy out there just doing the work doesn't know about it.
Clink, clink.
Yeah.
Quick bury it.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. There's always a possibility too that it's actually not even buried. I mean, it might actually be one of those hidden in plain sight kind of things. So, maybe some CIA employee stole it, and has it for a souvenir. Maybe Aldrich Ames actually, because he was still working there when Kryptos went up. Remember Aldrich Ames, the famous mole? Maybe he stole it and gave it to the Russians, whatever it was.
And currently it's in Putin's office.
Yeah, or maybe
on his desk.
Yeah, and or maybe maybe the cleaning staff just accidentally threw it out. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's something kind of secure, so that can't happen. You would hope so, anyway.
You would hope so.
Yeah. Think of who was it? Was it Einstein that stayed up for a day and a night and had everything on the chalkboard and passed out from exhaustion, and the cleaning lady cleaned the chalkboard for him and took it all away? That may not be a real story, but it may not have been Einstein, but I swear I've heard that before.
I can imagine that. That's why they put please don't erase or on those things. But yeah, you would think that somebody would ask before they would erase all those equations. You would think.
You would think, but...
Yeah. So, it appears our mystery is at an end.
It does.
So I lied at the beginning. I said we were going to solve it. No, I totally lied.
No.
Always lying.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you what the answer is.
What's that? Exactly. It's a bunch of gobbledygook.
There it is.
When you read it, that's what it says. If you don't, unscramble it.
Yeah.
I did that phonetically, though, so please don't try and make that perfect.
Yeah. And hopefully by the time this goes to press, somebody won't have solved it. If they did, well, damn it. But if you have any thoughts on this, you can contact us, as always, via email. We are at thinkingsideways@gmail.com. Of course, we like to get email, fan mail especially, because, we have so many fans out there. We also have a website, believe it or not, thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. Where you can find our episodes. We've got an episode list out there, so you can see the entire list.
True.
Entire catalog, yep.
It's
in
all
one place.
Yeah. You can download and listen to our stuff. Or can you download from there, or just listen straight up?
Yeah.
Yeah. But also
the list takes you into the post, and in the post player, you can do the downloading if you want to do it directly from the website.
Yeah, and of course we have merch there also, so you can order cool things like mugs and T-shirts and all kinds of nifty stuff. Daggers. Do we have any daggers yet?
No.
One of these days.
No.
Other places you can find us: iTunes, where you can subscribe. You can give us a rating and a review, preferably a 5-star rating and a really glowing review. We like those. And you can stream us from everywhere, including Stitcher, Google Play, and a lot of other places.
Mm-hmm. All the places you can stream, we are there.
Pretty much, yeah. We're on social media. So there's the Facebook, where we have a group and a page. So you like the page, join the group. Be sure to like the page and join the group. Lots of fun stuff happening in our group, actually.
Yeah.
Good bunch of people out there. We're also on Twitter, where we are Thinking Sideways without the G, and we have a subreddit, Thinking Sideways. Do we have any action on that lately, Devin?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, okay. And that's about it. Until next week, goodbye, gay. He said in code.
He said in Pig Latin. I know that code.
Wow. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a slide.
What?
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Well, hey there, and welcome to Thinking Sideways, the podcast. As always, it's my turn, which means I am Steve.
As always, it's your turn?
As this time, it's my turn.
Okay, yeah.
As always, I'm always Steve.
You are always Steve.
Except that week I was Joe.
Yeah, I remember
which
that.
was weird.
It was really weird. I didn't like it very much.
No.
I don't think the fans liked it either.
No, they didn't.
Got a lot of hate mail over that one.
But I am Steve, as always, joined by
Devin and
Joe.
Yes.
And once again, we have another mystery to look into. This is a listener suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
We've been trying to work through the backlog.
We have a big one.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We have a lot of suggestions, which is great, but that list has gotten huge. This particular story that we're going to talk about was suggested by Todd quite a long time ago, so